What is good, everybody? Coming at you with another video. A little bit of a hiatus since the last one, but y'all are in for a treat here if y'all enjoy listening to me talk about basketball. We are starting a new series that is going to go through all 30 NBA teams, and I'm going to give a little bit of breakdown and a little bit of season predictions for each and every team. Now we got 28 days before the season starts. There's 30 NBA teams. So if you do the math there's going to be a couple days where I got to double upload to get everything in before the season starts, which is the plan. We'll probably save double uploads for maybe like Sundays. And then while you got your weekend off, you can tune in the morning and you can tune in at night. First team on the list is going to be the Atlanta Hawks because we are going to go through alphabetical order by city. So A-Town, stand up. We got the Atlanta Hawks jersey on. Kevin Huerter, my boy. So without further ado, let's get started on this team. This is a team that had a very slow start to the season last year. They had Lloyd Pearson at coach. They fired him and brought in Nate McMillan. And something about Nate McMillan's system resonated with the players better, I guess. I don't know, but that team went from like a 9 or 10 seed when they fired Lloyd Pierce to making the playoffs as a 5 seed, and they ended up going to the Eastern Conference Finals, which I don't think anybody saw coming. The team's led by Trae Young. If you don't watch basketball, you probably still know who Trae Young is because he is everywhere. But Trae Young averaged 25 a game last season. Took a little bit of a drop off from the prior season, but I believe that's because of the talent they brought in around him. They brought in Bogey Bogdanovic. They brought in Danilo Gallinari. And then they just got some better pieces, and people stepped up and developed as scorers. So that took a little bit away from Trae, allowed him to distribute just a little bit more than before. But Trae Young's an absolutely phenomenal player. He got the job done. He took that team to the Eastern Conference Finals. Unfortunately, he got injured, and we didn't get to see what he could do with the team all the way through. But he did what he could, and hopefully we just get a full season of healthy Trae. And I think that's one of the huge hopes for the Hawks this season. They've got a ton of shooters around Trae Young. They've got Kevin Huerter. They've got Danilo Gallinari. They got Bogdan Bogdanovic. They got Lou Williams coming off the bench. So they've got shooters around Trae as well. And Trae's a shooter himself. So I think the one thing that's going to be key for this team is not just the shooting, but getting consistency in that shooting, because they shot their way out of a lot of games in the playoffs, especially. But if they can get that consistency down with their shooting, this team can make another Eastern Conference Finals run easily. Because they've probably got one of the best shooting cores in the league. They bring back John Collins this offseason on I believe, max extension off of his rookie contract, and this city loves John Collins. I don't think there was ever a chance that they were really going to let him go. I know they didn't want to pay him initially, but I think they knew in the back of their minds if it came to it, they were going to pay John Collins. John put up almost 20 a game this past season. The chemistry he has with Trae Young is absolutely phenomenal. They get those lobs going, and that gets the fans electrified, and everyone in the stadium's roaring when that happens. And it's just incredible to see. John Collins gets his putback dunks and everything too. Doesn't have to have Trae throwing him the ball at the rim, but he's just an incredible player. I'm so glad they brought him back, and that is going to be a huge part of this team as well. And another huge part, I believe, finishes out the big three. You got Trae Young, you got John Collins, and then you got Clint Capela. Clint Capela comes in to this roster halfway through last season. Doesn't do too terribly much, but he comes in this season and he leads the league in rebounding, and that is just incredible for him to come in and do for this roster. And that's something that Atlanta's needed for a long time. They've needed a rebounding center, and they've needed a shot blocker, and Clint Capela brought both of those, led the league in rebounding and blocked 2 shots a game. And Capela was just awesome for this team, and that's something that they really needed, and they can afford to have his his lack of offensive versatility because, like I mentioned earlier, they have all these shooters around him. They bring in a couple rookies. They got Sharife Cooper on a 2-way contract. I think he's going to develop in the G League and in the games that he gets to play with Atlanta. I think he's going to develop into a great backup for Trae Young. Sharif's an absolute hooper if you got to watch him at Auburn. He comes back home. He's from Atlanta, Georgia. So Sharife comes back home and gets to back up Trae Young, hopefully sooner rather than later. But I think the time in the G League is really going to help him because he's going to get the feel for that NBA game. And we also have Jalen Johnson coming out of Duke. This is someone that people were kind of iffy on. They felt like some people thought he was a top 10 talent in this draft. And then there were just a lot of people that had a question mark around him because he withdrew from Duke and decided to train for the NBA draft. And not many people knew what to expect from him or know what to expect from him because nobody's seen him play in a long time now. So hopefully he's got that top 10 potential that people are saying, and he can develop on this team and just become a really solid piece for him. And yeah, that's about all I got to say. I don't know too much about Jalen Johnson, but I hope he's got that talent that people say that he has, that top 10 in the draft talent. And the only reason he fell is just because of that early withdrawal from Duke to train, and we'll see what he brings to the table. The two big X factors, I think, for this team this season are going to be Deandre Hunter, who missed most of last season with injury, and Cam Reddish, who I guess just got kind of buried on the depth chart. I know he missed some time with injury too, but when he came back, he just didn't really play too much, and we didn't see him playing a ton before the injury. But Deandre Hunter, this dude's a lockup defender. He can guard a 1 through 4 position. He can go out there and get you 15 to 20 a game as well. And I think Deandre Hunter is going to be that dude for this team that makes the difference and helps them get over that Eastern Conference Finals hump again. If they need someone to push them through the second round, I think Deandre Hunter is going to be that guy. And then Cam Reddish, like I mentioned, he didn't play too much before or after the injury. But we got to see him come into an Eastern Conference Finals game and put up 21 points with 6 3-pointers made, and the dude just balled out. They finally let him just hoop. They unleashed Cam, and I think that's what you got to do with a player like him. He's a street hooper. Like you can see that in his game, and I just really think they got to let Cam go out there and play his game, because if you don't and you limit him, then he's just gonna look like an average NBA player. But those two dudes are really going to be the X factors for this team, I believe. One big thing to note is Onyeka Okongwu, the backup center, is injured right now, and he's out with a shoulder injury, had surgery on it, but he's probably going to be out until around December or January or so. And they brought in Gorgie Jang, who has been a solid backup for most of his career, but we don't really know what to expect from him in this system. I think he's going to translate well. I got really familiar with him as a Louisville fan. He went to Louisville, so I was really familiar with his game, but he's been in the NBA for 7 or 8 seasons now, I think, and I don't know what he still brings to the table. I'm hoping he's a good fit with this team coming off the bench. But the last thing to really note with that Onyeka Okongwu injury is the Hawks currently have 16 players on the roster. You can only bring 15 into the season. And it sounds like the last 2 players fighting for positions are Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot and Jahlil Okafor. Luwawu-Cabarrot is a shooting guard, small forward. He can shoot the ball decently and he can defend okay. But that's just going to be a guy, I feel like, that gets buried behind Gallinari and Bogey and Herter and Hunter and Reddish. So I just don't see him making that final cut, and I see that last spot going to Jahlil Okafor, and having that third solid backup center, and just coming in and playing the desperation or garbage minutes, more to say, but having that security there as a center. So I see Okafor winning that battle out. So that's all I got for the team breakdown. As far as season predictions, I see this team being around 46 to 50 wins, and about a second round exit is where I have them at. I don't quite seeing them getting back to the Eastern Conference Finals, assuming that everyone in the league stays healthy, which we know isn't going to happen. It's just a matter of who gets injured, when they get injured, how long they're injured for, how long they're out with that injury. But assuming everyone is healthy, come playoff time, I see the Hawks being about a second round exit. This team has a lot of talent. They're still pretty young overall. And I think that playoff experience last year is going to help them get over any first round issues that they have. But I think that second round is going to be where they head out, because there's just so much talent in the East now. And we'll get to those later in different videos. But like I said, I see the Hawks being a second round exit team, going about 46 and 50. I think we see Trae have about the same kind of season he did last year. And we pray that he stays healthy so we can see what he really does as a leader of a team in the playoffs, because he did not disappoint last season. That is all I got for the Atlanta Hawks. Hope you tune in for the next video. Hope you loved this one. Next video, I believe we have the Boston Celtics coming up. And if you know me, you know that's my team. So we're going to be pretty excited about that one. But I'm also going to be fair in my judgments and predictions. So tune into that one. Peace out.